This isn't just about missiles. It's about a crack in Putin's armor. A single German weapon could shatter Russia's grip on Crimea. The West has the key, but refuses to turn it. Why? Is Berlin too afraid of victory? Or is there something darker beneath Germany's silence? As Ukraine bleeds, the Taurus missile gathers dust, and history is watching. If Crimea is the heart of this war, the Kerch Bridge is its artery, and it's still beating. For Ukraine and Russia, Crimea isn't just a stretch of land. It's the soul of the war. This peninsula, jutting into the Black Sea, holds enormous symbolic and strategic weight. In 2014, Russia stunned the world by annexing Crimea in what Vladimir Putin called a historic reunification. But for Ukraine, it was a brutal theft, a scar that's never healed. Crimea hosts Sevastopol, the crown jewel of Russia's Black Sea Fleet, a naval base so vital that losing it would strike at the heart of Russia's military dominance in the region. From Crimea, Russia projects power across the Mediterranean and Middle East, making the peninsula a linchpin in its global influence. Crimea is the key to ending this war, said Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in a fiery address. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg echoed the urgency, stating, "The road to peace runs through Crimea." To reclaim it would not only restore Ukraine's territorial integrity, it would shatter Russia's illusion of invincibility. Crimea isn't just a battlefield. It's the ultimate prize, and whoever controls it shapes the future of Europe. The Kerch Bridge is more than concrete and steel. It's Russia's artery into Crimea, pumping in life support for its war machine. Stretching 12 miles across the Kerch Strait, this massive structure connects mainland Russia directly to the annexed peninsula, supplying over 30,000 troops with weapons, fuel, food, and reinforcements. Every tank, missile, and barrel of oil that sustains Russia's grip on Crimea flows across that bridge. It's not just logistical, it's psychological. Built at a cost of nearly $4 billion and opened by Putin himself in 2018, the Kerch Bridge is a towering monument to Russia's claim over Crimea. But in October 2022, that illusion cracked. A bold bombing shattered part of the bridge, killing civilians and briefly halting military supply lines. Russia scrambled to patch the damage, pushing emergency repairs in record time. The message: this bridge is vulnerable, and Putin knows it. Disrupting the Kerch Bridge again wouldn't just delay tanks. It would send shockwaves through the Kremlin and the Russian public. It would show that Ukraine isn't just fighting back. It's aiming to take Crimea off the map of Russian control, one strike at a time. Germany's Taurus KEPD-350 isn't just another missile. It's a game-changer. Designed for precision deep strike missions, the Taurus is one of the most advanced weapons in Europe's arsenal. With a staggering range of 500 kilometers, it can reach targets far behind enemy lines without putting pilots at risk. But its true power lies in its engineering. At its core is the MEPAGISTO warhead, short for multi-effect penetrator, high sophisticated and target optimized. This isn't your average explosive. It's built to smash through reinforced bunkers and hardened structures, exactly what's needed to cripple something like the Kerch Bridge's underwater pillars. These supports are buried deep and armored far beyond the reach of typical artillery or surface drones. Taurus also flies low and stealthy, hugging the terrain using pre-programmed maps to avoid detection. That makes it extremely hard for Russian air defenses to intercept. While the UK's Storm Shadow and France's SDAL missiles offer similar range and precision, Taurus stands apart for its unmatched bunker-busting design and pinpoint strike accuracy. For Ukraine, this isn't just another weapon. It's the key to slicing through Russia's lifeline into Crimea. And if deployed, it could deliver the kind of surgical blow that reshapes the entire battlefield. Ukraine has already proven it can handle advanced Western missiles. Since mid-2023, its Air Force has successfully deployed British Storm Shadow and French SDAL missiles, both long-range, precision-guided weapons that have struck deep into Russian-held territory with devastating effect. These successes weren't just symbolic. They demonstrated Ukraine's ability to integrate sophisticated Western systems quickly and effectively. Crucially, Ukraine still operates a small fleet of Su-24 fighter jets, the same aircraft that were modified to carry Storm Shadows. With similar modifications, these jets can also launch the Taurus missile, making the integration technically feasible. Ukrainian officials have been asking for the Taurus since early 2023. Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov publicly stated that Taurus would allow Ukraine to reach the critical logistics and command nodes that fuel the occupation of Crimea. But Germany has hesitated, citing concerns over escalation and the time needed for proper training. Military experts estimate it would take roughly 3 to 6 months to fully integrate Taurus into Ukraine's arsenal, meaning if training started today, deployment could happen before the end of the year. Despite mounting pressure, German Chancellor OlafScholz has remained firm in his refusal to send Taurus missiles to Ukraine. His primary concern: escalation. Scholz has repeatedly warned that providing Taurus could drag NATO directly into the conflict, especially if Ukraine were to use the missile to strike targets deep inside Russian territory. "We must prevent a war between Russia and NATO," he said in a Bundestag session earlier this year, defending his cautious stance. But behind closed doors, there's more to it. According to German media reports, the Scholz administration fears that once Taurus is delivered, Ukraine could use it to hit military sites inside Russia proper, not just occupied Crimea. Given the missile's 500-kilometer range, such strikes are technically possible, and Germany worries this would cross a dangerous red line. However, resistance to Scholz's position is growing at home. Several Bundestag members, including prominent voices from the CDU and the Greens, have called for immediate Taurus deliveries. Even some within the German military establishment have spoken out, arguing that withholding Taurus is weakening Ukraine's chances of victory and prolonging the war. The political temperature in Berlin is rising, and time is running out. Russia has been preparing for a potential strike on the Kerch Bridge with intense urgency. Along the Crimean coast and near the bridge itself, Moscow has deployed layers of air defense, including the formidable S-300 and S-400 systems, Panzer S-1 closed-in weapon systems, and powerful electronic jamming units. These defenses are designed to intercept everything from cruise missiles to the low-flying drones. But Ukraine has been evolving its own strategy. Through coordinated CEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses operations, Ukrainian forces have been systematically targeting radar stations, command vehicles, and key missile batteries, weakening Russia's once impenetrable shield. Even so, experts say it might not matter, not against Taurus. With its stealthy design, pre-programmed terrain-following navigation, and pinpoint accuracy, the Taurus missile can fly low, hug the Earth, and avoid radar detection until it's too late. This is the kind of weapon that can slip through even Russia's best defenses, says Franz Stefan Gady, a defense analyst at IISS. If Ukraine gets Taurus, the Kerch Bridge is no longer safe. A successful Taurus strike on the Kerch Bridge would send shockwaves far beyond Crimea. The immediate effect would be the isolation of over 30,000 Russian troops stationed on the peninsula, cutting off their main supply artery for fuel, ammunition, and reinforcements. Without this vital lifeline, Russian forces would face severe shortages, forcing a potential withdrawal or weakening their hold on the region. Military analysts compare this to historical turning points where severing supply lines decisively changed the course of battles, such as the Allied disruption of German logistics in World War II. The psychological impact would be equally devastating. Russian morale would plummet, and the Kremlin's grip on Crimea would weaken substantially. According to defense expert Michael Kaufman, destroying the Kerch Bridge could be the key to reversing Russia's strategic advantage in Crimea and potentially the entire Black Sea region. The loss would force Moscow into a defensive posture, recalibrating the war's balance of power. The ongoing conflict over Crimea has ignited a tense global standoff, with NATO and Western leaders haunted by the specter of escalation. Russia's nuclear posturing looms large, with frequent warnings from Moscow that any direct Western intervention could trigger a catastrophic response. This threat has cast a long shadow over decision-making in Berlin, London, and Washington, creating paralysis around providing Ukraine with the most effective weapons, like the Taurus missile. This fear of escalation has prevented bold action, allowing Russia to consolidate its hold over Crimea while Western powers tread cautiously. Experts argue that this caution often crosses into self-imposed strategic paralysis. The concept of calculated risk in modern warfare highlights the delicate balance between deterrence and decisive action. When fear of escalation becomes a tool to avoid necessary measures, it inadvertently grants aggressors like Russia the advantage, undermining efforts to restore Ukraine's sovereignty. The West's challenge is breaking this cycle before it's too late. Germany stands at a critical crossroads. with around 600 Taurus missiles in its arsenal, between 150 and 300 of which are combat-ready. The country holds the power to shift the war's course. But delay risks everything. Every day that passes allows Russia more time to strengthen defenses around Crimea and repair damage to key infrastructure like the Kerch Bridge. Meanwhile, Ukraine's hard-won momentum in its counteroffensive could stall without the decisive strike capabilities the Taurus missile offers. Experts warn that this window of opportunity is rapidly closing. The longer Germany hesitates, the harder it will be for Ukraine to break Russia's grip on Crimea. Immediate delivery and accelerated training for Ukrainian forces are essential to capitalize on this moment. Inaction now could mean losing not only a strategic advantage, but also the chance to uphold international law and the sovereignty of Ukraine. Germany's decision will resonate far beyond the battlefield. It could determine the future of Europe's security landscape. History will not ask who fired the missile, it will ask who held it back. Germany stands at a defining crossroads as a moral, economic, and military leader in Europe. This moment demands more than cautious diplomacy or fear of escalation. It requires decisive action. Berlin's choice will echo through generations, shaping the future of Ukraine, Europe, and global security. Will Germany rise to meet the stakes, or will it hide behind endless excuses? The fate of Crimea, and perhaps the balance of power in the region, depends on this decision. Crimea can be the beginning of the end for Russia's aggression, but only if Germany acts now. The world is watching.